Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Isha Corner and this entire team for organizing this Azure conference and having me here. So we'll be talking about how we can build effective and efficient solutions using Azure Functions. Of course, we'll start with some context about serverless computing and how Azure Functions fits in there. We'll talk brief about Azure Functions, and we'll take some real-world use case that how Azure Function can be used to make uh, solutions cost-effective. Okay, this is pretty much about at a high level. Who am I and what did I do? I think Stefan anyway talked about it. If you want to follow me on Twitter here, you can, and we can have a chat later. Okay, without any further delay, let's go. Let's go in. Okay, I know there were a bunch of talk around Azure, and you might have, of course, seen either this slide or something similar slides, which talks about what is PaaS, what is serverless. But just a brief in case you are joining the sessions as a fresh or now. So of course, PaaS is there in the system from longer than serverless. Serverless is a bit modern flavor on top of PaaS, if I say. So of course, if you look at all the services, so we have IaaS, PaaS, serverless, SaaS, of course. Of course, below this there is something called on, like you have everything your own, like bare metal or something like that. So basically what happens is that if you look at the right side of diagram, or if you look the overlap of these two, so serverless is something that gives you a little more abstraction on top of PaaS. Okay, in PaaS you care about data, and maybe to extent you care about configurations, some kind of settings that, hey, I want to scale my app on when my either loads become, or number of users are of certain number, or my CPU utilization goes X times, or my storage or space becomes this much. So span something new machine or something like that. In serverless, you don't need to care even those things. So application settings and basically settings or configuration things is also taken care, and you just need to care about your pure application logic and nothing else. So everything goes, or everything's basically takes care of its own. So you need to least developer needs to worry least on this particular platform on serverless. Okay, moving on. Serverless computing, of course, what is that? So there is a little bit, sometimes, people take the serverless on a literal sense, and they assume that, hey, there is no server at all. Of course, it's not for you as a developer, but it is, it has to be there somewhere, and it is there as well. It is not visible to you, of course, because you don't have to care or you don't have to manage it, but it is there somewhere, and to help you write the code, or take care about the application you care about. How it is helping, because since I take care of configuration and multiple other things, it is like easier to go to market, it is easier to code, easier to scale, and sort of exactly we want in most of the time, right? And most importantly, from a dollar or from cost perspective also, it is better, because you really need to pay for the time you're going to use any resource, not like you need to kind of own it and you need to pay even if you're not using. So it is like more aligned on a principle of pay and use, instead of owning something and just keep for the sake of it and paying without it is actually being used. Okay, so serverless computing gives you that power as a developer, or as a admin, or as a whoever owner or founder of any firm, that you just need to pay for something that you are actually going to use. Okay. Of course, we talked about some of the benefits or also of serverless computing. So You don't need to care about infrastructure, of course. Scalability is dynamic, vis-a-vis if we compare with PaaS, where you need to put some setting in place that, hey, I want scalability to begin on certain threshold, whether it's a scale up or scale out, but you need to define some rules there. Here, it's all dynamic. Of course, since it is the focus is more on application and logic instead of anything else, so you will be faster to market. And as I said about cost, that you're not going to pay for the time you're not using any particular resource, so you're more efficient using resources, and you're paying for the actual use. Okay. Okay, now coming to the topic of this day about Azure Functions. So Azure Function is the implementation of serverless computing in Microsoft Azure, and it lets you create serverless functions where you just create some event-driven kind of you just write some logic, and either it is triggered by some upstream, or you can write some independent code as well that is triggered by either some HTTP calls, or it can be just simple as timer, and it is running on certain time. So it could be anything of that nature. We'll talk more as we progress. So basically, it is like writing not so thick logic, but it's like you're dividing logic into different pieces, and sometimes people loosely call it as a nano service as well. So you just write the code that is there for certain business logic, and either it is running independently or it is integrated with certain upstream or even some downstream. So it is kind of there are binding created, so it is getting triggered on certain actions from upstream, and it is doing certain jobs after completion. So all those scenarios can be kind of put together on this Azure function. Okay, talking a little bit more on them. So as we can say that some reusable functions or methods are put together into Azure Functions, as the name suggests, and basically the concept of one of the concept of software development is reusability. So that is also being addressed with that you just put together something into Azure Functions, and it can be used by multiple consumers of that particular logic. Okay. Some example could be that maybe some share market or kind of service, or some weather kind of service that the logic is there, and it's just being used, and there could be multiple consumers. Okay. Event driven we are saying because of course it can be configured to run on every minute, or it can also be configured to run as some event. So if once something happens to that, those kind of scenario comes into play on this kind of implementation. Okay. Typically, it is designed to keep not, so as I said, not so big code, so that it is completing within a few minutes. Use cases where you want to run something for very long. Of course, in your template, we also got something called they call it orchestrator kind of functions, durable functions, where you can expect those functions to do a little more longer job, but in principle, in ideal cases or in most of the cases, one wants to go with some logic that is finishing in few minutes. Okay, maximum few minutes, maybe few seconds as well. Okay. What are different things it is are supported? So as Microsoft Azure is not just it's not just about .NET kind of platform. It is true open source now from several years rather. So any kind of workload you have, whether it's typical my .NET or Python or PHP, JavaScript, PowerShell, all kind of basically even Java, all kind of language or platforms are supported. So you don't need to really know .NET or C# in order to work in order to write code in Azure Functions. You can write pretty much what you know. And I have highlighted something called CRON. It is pretty popular in Linux world, or bash command, or kind of those commands. So You can configure the timing or like scheduling part, using CRO expressions. They can very much be used, and they're pretty easy way to schedule certain, like kind of timer or schedule kind of scenarios you can use, and you can have this thing set up. Yeah. Okay. We talked about serverless, Azure Functions, and let's talk about actually where it is used in real world, right? So, what are some of those scenario where when you want to go for Azure Functions? So, I was talking about one could be like, you want some kind of schedulers or some kind of timer to run on, or for example, you want some mail to be sent, maybe let's say 10 a.m. or daily, or 10 a.m. Monday or whatever, right? You can set up those kind of logic in a timer function. So timer is one of the function available for function app, one of the template or type available for function app, right? And that can help us. This can help us on this kind of scenario. Other could be that you want to do again. For example, once some document somebody uploaded on SharePoint, you want to trigger some mail, or you want to trigger certain other actions, like you want to insert some data into table, or anything the required business case for you. You can do that as well. So it is like integrating upstream system and downstream system, and also those kind of use cases are also supported. Uh, Third example could be, for example, you want to do certain actions on some message got added in queue, or something, some notification came in on this queuing scenario, and those kind of things. So even those are supported. So it's pretty much most of the use cases, if not all, are supported here, and they're keep on adding multiple capabilities. As I said recently, not too recently, but yeah, it is. There's something called durable functions, because there was a requirement from developers community that, hey, we need something that can fit in for longer running scenarios, like orchestration scenarios, where something is not completed in minutes, but it is maybe 10 minutes or half an hour. It is like long running kind of thing. So you should have something. So they came up with durable function capability also. Okay. We talked about this, like for example, timer-based processing, some event processing you're doing, or all kind of like stream, or all kind of scenario you can put together. As you can say, it is like 365, or so different integration points also available here. So it's not just like typical timer or HTTP or API kind of scenario, but even multiple business process can also be integrated here, with Azure Functions. Okay. Kind of template that we have at this point. There are many, however, I just put together the most commonly used. Could be timer, could be HTTP triggers, blob, event, service for something happening, or some message added and you want to do something. So all kind of web hooks, yeah. So all those kind of scenario commonly used. Of course, there are more. If you go to Azure website, you'll find a big list. But I just put together, as I said, some mostly commonly used ones. So yeah, so as you see, like generally what we want to do on certain scenarios, on this case, you will get some kind of template there. Just click it, and you will get some kind of a maybe hello world kind of easier example to explain you what exactly is being done there, and you can integrate, you can make it more, you can extend it based on your requirement, and for real world application. Yeah. Okay. How this function looks like, right? Under the hood, what exactly it has. So of course, it has runtime. It has to have the right. How would it run? Of course, when you create a function, I would ask you whether you want .NET Core, you want Java, you want Python, Ruby, PHP. You need to tell actually to when you create a function. So, for example, I have some demo for .NET Core. So it will have .NET Core dependency runtime. Of course, only it knows that I'm gonna write C# language or C# program, right? Then there's some configuration related to bindings, basically, that what if in case I have to get some, or I want this to be run, this function to be run on certain triggers, like some message came in my queue or some service bus basically got triggered or something like that. So those kind of configuration needs to be there. And in the the topmost thing where that comes to us is the code, right? The real code, what I want to do when this particular function is getting called. Okay. So basically these three things together make this the function. But generally developers cares about code and in some cases maybe configuration. Yeah, dependencies are taken care by the platform itself. So you just need to select what kind of platform you're targeting to, and it will be taken care automatically for you. We talked about upstream, downstream. Typically here they call it as from bindings. Basically, there are nothing but like upstream, downstream systems, like how you want to connect your Azure functions. So whether you want certain logic to be executed on some message, as I said, some message came in your queue. You want to do certain entry into the tables. You want to send some notifications on push notifications. So all kind of bindings, and again some could be triggered, like something happened at this point. Some could be like some data came as an input, or something is going out as an output. So all those kind of scenarios, like it would be bi-directional, of course, if it is both input output. All those settings goes into the function configuration, and you can do that. We'll be looking into this demo, how this looks like. Okay, coming to testing part. So it is fairly easy. You can test on the portal itself. Although you can also test on a bunch of other tools available, like Postman, Swagger, API kind of things. You also have some plugins, like they call it Azure Explorer, those kind of plugins in a studio. You can pull it and you can test. So there are a bunch of things available for testing. Okay, now the crucial part of the talk, right? Is it really cost effective? And yes, do I have an example for it? Yeah, I do. Okay, how it looks like. Real world example. Let's take a scenario. So I need to build, I got a requirement that, of course, this requirement, when I talk about cost, of course, the example, of course, going to be that the person or the company is fairly new, and they want their cost they want to go with cost effective route instead of getting a premium one, and they want to go with maybe free, or maybe to extend D1 they call it. There's some charge. It's not totally free in the plan, and what they want is that they want to build a scheduler, okay, or timer. So for example, they want to send mail to all the, for example, it's a startup, just maybe 5 people, right? So they want to send some kind of task. Hey guys, this is task for you, maybe daily 9 a.m. whatever. So this is a requirement they have, and of course it needs to run. Otherwise, how it will trigger automatically the next day 9, right? It has to run continuously, right? So, and of course, as I said, the company is fairly new. It can't afford the over budget, and it's trying a free tier, or maybe D1 they call it, a bit of price. It can't afford basic standard, or of course premium is not an option anymore. So suppose this kind of setup you have, and you created a web job, and here things become interesting, that you know in order to have a continuous run, you need to basically have a always on feature, okay? Otherwise you can't run. And you know what, this always on feature comes with minimum basic plan. It doesn't come with either free or D1. So you have no choice now. You're stuck, right? So you can't have a web job, because you did not buy for either basic or standard or premium tier. You're just free, or maybe to the max D1. And when you go to, as you see the picture, it gives you that you need to have a always on. And for always on, if you go to Microsoft Docs, you'll find this commentary over there. It will say, hey, your web app can be timeout after 20 minutes of inactivity if you don't do anything, and You have got to have always on, and this feature is available on what? As I said, basic, standard, and premium. Forget about F1 or D1. Okay. So what next? What's the savior? So savior is timer function. Azure Web Ops timer function. Not sorry, it's typo here. So Azure function timer function. Okay, web jobs was the previous one where you got stuck and you can't really move because you did not get up the premium tier. So Azure function timer function of Azure function is a savior for you. You're gonna have a share an expression similar with web job, and you're good to go. We'll see in a demo in a while. Yeah, let's jump to the demo now, guys. I hope I have time. So yeah, so uh, let me share. Okay, Simon, you're there, right?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, let me. Simon, you're there?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm there.
I think I just shared the deck, not the entire screen. So let me stop and quickly I'll open up for demo
Yeah,
actually. Okay. Share screen.
entire desktop.
Where is that? Oh, is
The
this
first,
okay?
the first
First
option
one,
that you
right?
need to
Okay.
save this. Yeah,
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'll go with this. Yeah.
you're learning new tools every day.
Yeah. Here we go. So I hope my machine
Yeah,
is visible. I guess. Is it?
yeah, your portal is visible.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show. Okay, so let's come. So I create, in the interest of time, I create two demos before this call. So one is to talk about the constraint that was there. That is kind of, they said, I chose the basic tier or the free or shared tier, and how I can be blocked if I don't use, in this case, the function, right? So as you see here, this is my web job, and it is pending restart. Why so? Let's go to log. Okay, select this and go to logs. And you're gonna see what I just told you. Okay, what is saying? Saying, guys, forget this, it can't run. Why? Because it doesn't appear to be having this always on, and blah blah, and looks like this feature is available only in basic, standard, and premium, right? Forget about this shared and free. It's not for you. Simple. Okay, how I can look into this, right? So let's go a little deeper. So this is my app service, and what I'm going to do is let's go on overview and go to your plan. As you can see, it is free, right? It is free, and if you go to configuration here, so let me go there. Oh, it doesn't come in here. One sec. So it comes into here, configuration. And if you go inside general setting, where typically it's allow us to change this thing, look at here. It is disabled for me. The reason is I'm a free tier guy in this case. Okay, so it is not for me. Then what is there for me? As I said, savior for me. So savior for me is Azure function, and let's quickly look. Oh, I need to. What happened? Let me log in again. Okay. So the second examples talk about how we can do this. How can I achieve this with Azure functions? So I have, let me go to my all resources. I'll show quickly to you. So I have two app servers. One is for, I just showed you, and another is for this one. So this app service, and this service again has a free only. If you look at how you can look at, let it load basically. So it is free. Come on. So yeah, see, it is free only. Okay, it's free tier. So how can I make it work in this case and don't lose my requirements? So this is my app, Azure Function App Service, and this is the app I created. So timer function. Okay, when you create a timer function, it will let you define how exactly you want. So I was showing you guys the templates. So there are a bunch of templates here, and currently we're just interested on this one, timers. So I can select timer. So here it will let me choose what schedule and the name. So since I already have, so I'm just going to cancel. I just wanted to show how it looks like. Okay, so it is enabled. Let me double click here and go into more details of how it looks like. So as you see, it is okay. So the CRN expression, as you were saying, it was like every 5 minutes it runs. Okay, so I think maybe few hours back I spent this. So let me go to monitor, and I should have some message coming in. Oh yeah, it ran bunch of times. So I think it is running every 5 times. So as you see, look at the time, guys, here. So yeah, so it has run 14. So I think it is taking UTC time here. So I guess what's UTC right now? Uh, okay, whatever. So it is looks like it ran 4:19:59, basically 4:20. Okay, so now it will run. As you see, it is running every 5 minutes. So and it is running. That's what I wanted. Uh, and what message it is printing? Hello, Prakash. Azure function timer. So it is running actually every 5 minutes in my free tier. So it is doing my job. Whereas if you look at this guy, this is their job, and it is saying me, hey, you are not eligible. You need to have this premium, right? Manually it can run, yes, and I run myself manually just for testing. So if you look at some message will come in the down somewhere that hello Prakash. Yeah, hello Prakash came in, but it was a manual run. It can't run automatic because always on is not on, and always not on has to have this kind of your plan. Whereas in this case, timer case, you don't really need, and you can go ahead or work around this case with Azure function and timer template or timer type of Azure function, where you can have a prettier and you can do the job, right? That's what we wanted. That the requirement was the timer function. If I come back to my deck, what was the requirement? Requirement was that hey, I just need a scheduler. I'm in free tier, and I want continuously run. So basically, every 5 minutes is fine. I can even reduce to 1 minute, right? So it is running continuously. Okay, so who saved me? So your function timer job saved me. So yeah, that's good. That that's what I wanted. Okay, since I have time, so let me also talk about a little more on this. I had some slides, there for remaining time. So to talk more about your function. So demo is covered. Now let's talk about some little more deeper on architecture side that. Uh, Given the Azure products, if I have been tasked to, hey, Prakash, you just come up with some kind of solution architecture, and you got to use Microsoft products as much as possible, and you also try to have a Azure function somewhere embedded, and I need to come up with architecture, okay? And these are some of the products, or what do we call it, capabilities, or what do we call it, I have got to use, okay? So how I can proceed about it? So let's build some context here. So as an architect, I need to look into different things, that how my sequence of communication gonna be, and what different building blocks needs to be there, and what will be stored at what juncture of time, and what product will have those capability. All kind of I need to have a big picture. So I started having those basically what do you call scenarios. I put together it. So how it gonna look like? So user-based testing the web app in browsers, and will have sign-in feature typical to any e-commerce site. Uh, I need to show some product images. Of course, I will be interested on putting them on, or taking them from CDN for faster access. And yeah, I should be able to query or search different products. and I may be interested on storing them into the SQL database or SQL Azure in this case. What else? I want any product when I click, it should go to some kind of queue so that it is there, and I can just keep shuffling it if I want to remove or add those kind of thing. Uh, for performance reason, I may want to cache some data so that it is not going to the backend every time, and response is good. Uh, this could be capability. I want some logic to be built in so that when I click on pay order or pay, all the items in my bucket or bin are kind of based on the rates or taxes, whatever. It is giving me the final amount, right? Net price. And of course, this should also be capable to talk to some payment provider, and upon successful, it should be able to make an entry into some persistent storage, maybe database again. Or if it is failure, so the failure notification or the cause of the failure should be also be noted somewhere. So this is my requirement. Now, how I'm gonna plug those requirements and put together. Okay, so user comes in a browser, of course. There's a first action. CDNs storing my static images for faster retrieval. I have MFA. Sorry, MFA for extra security. Uh, then I want to have basically. So if you look at the sequencing, so third could be that generally when we log in, right? So we want to search something. Any category. Suppose I want to get a phone, so I'll be searching some model or some phone or brand. So it should load some data, right? So it will make a maybe some search call, and it will bring all those products of what I put together in the UI. So it needs to maybe typically it comes from persistent storage initially, at least later it caches, but initially it comes from backend. So SQL database can be the good option here. Uh, how blob is coming? So blob is coming like I'm just keep playing about different items back and forth. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm confused what phone to buy. So maybe I'm shuffling, like initially selecting some and then later something else, like that. I also want to cache so that my next response, if I'm searching something similar, it is not again coming from backend. It is kind of returned from cache. Okay. I want some logic to be there so that when I'm clicking on like pay, so it is able to calculate my entire the amount, and it is talking to or able to talk different like provider. It could be UPI, could be anything else, could be bank or debit, whatever. And in the end, it is also making an entry into the persistent storage, like for example SQL in this case, so that I have a reference that what happened to that order, whether it's got success or failure or yeah. So those kind of details. So how this Azure function is coming? So if you look at 8, right? 8 is what, where you have basket, and it is calculating each line item on that basket, and it has the logic to get the rate, prevailing rate on certain, if it is a global site to certain country, and taxes, and maybe discount, right? All those calculations can be put together into the function. Okay, because it's like stateless. It will change based on the user. It is not something, it will be like what you've chosen on your side, and it will give you the amount based on what you selected, or what you're buying rather. And so it has the logic built in, and it can give you the final amount, that hey, this is what you're buying, and this is your final value, right? So this kind of scenario can be put together into function. And also it can make a call to the payment provider, and has ability to basically store the response of that payment provider into the database in this case. Okay, I hope I have time. Yeah, I do maybe a minute. So I think I'm on time. So guys, these are additional resources I use myself to learn and on this. So you can also find, I think these slides can be shared later. So you can, if you want, you can go to them. So thanks again. This what time I had, and I think I was able to meet the time. And for any additional queries, guys, this is my Twitter handle. I generally is able to respond Twitter faster than other communications. So this can be used in case you want to talk to me later. Thanks again for the sessions and having me. Sivan, over to you.